All right, what's going on, guys? So, day one of, I guess, full on prep. It's phase three, or essentially the final phase of this block. So, as you all know, we went 3 weeks, 3 weeks, and now four. So, we're into that final phase. Week one, day one starts today. Essentially, it's also week seven. So we are 4 weeks out now from Worlds. Today is my usual ascending 2 sets of fours on squats, and then I have my wave loaded triple tempo bench as well, and some accessories. So it should be a pretty easy day. Again, Victor has given me very low intensity, a bit lower volume this week as well. Sort of like a pseudo deload, I guess, as we slowly ramp up the next 4 weeks leading into Worlds. So it's raining right now, as you can see here. Yeah, it's raining pretty heavily, but yeah, we're gonna try and head to the gym, get some training done, and then I got a Cheryl's friend's birthday dinner thing to go to. All right, so let's go train. Man, I've been slacking so much on those intros. So this week I've only got two intro videos filmed. I've just been so behind on all that. Just I don't know. I honestly just couldn't be fucked. It is what it is. I'm not too fussed about it. I mean, this week worth of training is nothing to write home about. It's chill. It's whatever. Had my usual ascending fours to kick off the week. It is it is technically week one of, I guess, the peak. Like I said, much, and I guess I've repeated myself a lot, but essentially the way my block has been structured is that my entire prep in itself is 10 weeks, but we essentially run it as 3 week blocks where it's three, three, and then the peak itself is 4 weeks, where the last week is sort of a reactive week of training where either we taper, we continue, we deload, whatever it's needed to get me strong, right? But yeah, this entire block is all coming together now for this last, I guess, 4 weeks. And this first week to kick it off was, yeah, like I said, nothing to write home about. There was nothing crazy. Don't think it was super hard. Don't think uh, much of it, to be honest. It was very mindless training, if I'm being completely frank about it. Um, Squats were squatting, deadlifts were deadlifting, bench was eh. I mean, the shoulder's still a bit iffy here and there. I'm still dealing with it as best as I can. Things that we've noticed were obviously my wrist position seems a bit off, where my left wrist seems to be a bit more extended. The other thing I noticed is that my left shoulder can't internally rotate as much. The other thing is my left shoulder also seems to be a bit more elevated than my right. So it seems like there's overcompensation going on where because it's elevated, my body's trying to externally rotate the shoulder more on the left and then internally rotate the right a bit more to reduce twisting. Um, but yeah, look, it is what it is. I'm working through it. We're trying to make things work. And for the most part, I mean, it's decent, right? I would say it's the first week I've had of training where I got through all four bench sessions with little to no pain during the actual bench. Can't speak too much about it post training, but I've been doing my EMS at home. I've been doing my rehab diligently. So TJ, if you're watching this, I have been doing everything you've asked me to do. But look, it is what it is. I'm just taking it session by session. I've honestly not put too much thought into numbers I'm going to hit on the platform. I'm just trying to get as healthy as I can so I can bench something decent. Victor and I have had discussions in regards to numbers that we want to hit on the platform for Worlds, which would put us in a nice position overall based on nominations. Would also be a nice total to put up, but I'm not dead set on any numbers because this being my 20th comp, I know anything can happen on the day, as well as the fact that generally I don't know how my body's going to be able to cope with the shoulder issue at the moment, and then there's traveling and whatnot. But we'll see. I definitely will put my best foot forward and do what I can, but I'm not dead set on any numbers. I will just see what the day has in store for me and just take whatever numbers come my way. If my bench is strong and feeling on for the day, and we can somehow sneak into a podium position for a medal for bench individually, we'll definitely try to work it out to be that. But I think my priority at the end of the day is to put up a total PR, which I've obviously not PR'd on in what, since 2021, SPO 21. So it's been, yeah, coming to 3 years now. Haven't PR'd my deadlift since then either. I at the very least have PR'd my squat and my bench, but surprisingly have not PR'd the total. So yeah, I think the main goal will be to see what the day has in store for me, take what I can, squeeze whatever kilos I can out of me, and try and get a total PR. Probably going to come from the deadlift and the squat. With the bench, like I said, I'm taking it session by session. I'll see what the shoulder does, and whatever comes my way comes my way. I'll just take what I can for the bench. If for whatever reason I'm able to sneak into a podium position for the bench, then so be it. But if not, I'm not too butthurt about it. There's these are things I can't control regardless. It's just how it is. So I will just see what the day gives me and go from there. But as you can see through the background to all my yapping, it was days 1 through 3, and then this is obviously right here day 4. Um, yeah, tempo bench work typically doesn't hurt. The volume bench doesn't hurt too much. Primary bench didn't hurt too much. I think it's just post bench and also when it's induced a bit too much fatigue. I honestly think the only reason why the shoulder starts to act up now is not so much positioning as it is just I'm not as trained. I'm just a bit detrained because of the fact that we took those 2 weeks with reduced load and reduced frequency and intensity on bench, which probably just made it. I wouldn't say made it worse, probably made it better, but then obviously just means my shoulder's a bit detrained. All right, what's going on? So, haven't done many intros this week, but it is day 5, so I have my SBD. It is on Monday. So it's the first SBD session of this, I guess, peak. So the final phase of my prep anyway. So next, well, I guess now 3.5 weeks left. So got my primary squat, primary bench, secondary deadlifts, and then I've got pretty much 2 more SBD sessions to go during this prep, and then we are ready to go for Worlds. All right, so that's really all there is. Not many updates this past week. Pretty easy. It is a sort of a deload intro type week, so it's pretty cruisy. Nothing much to really talk about, but let's go train. All right, so as you can see, I only really filmed myself twice this week. Like I said, I've been slacking, but it is what it is. This was the last day of week 1 of the peak, and the final block of this prep. It's been a very interesting one. Something I've noticed is that week 1s for squats, typically the top single feels heavy on my back, but it moves really well. So we ride that wave. It seems the volume work still very much mindless. It does seem that from what Victor and I have noticed that my squat can just eat away at volume. It just needs a graded exposure towards the top end. As long as I don't overreach on the top end, then typically it'll show out quite nicely. But if I do, then it gets kind of cooked. So just eat the volume and then graded exposure to top end. As for bench, the shoulder was definitely a lot better. It didn't hurt during the bench itself. I've definitely noticed a trend with my bench where the points at which the shoulder hurts is typically during the unrack and the re-rack. Man, that was cringe. Re-rack. Oh my god, that's so cringe. Oh well, we'll keep that in. I don't even care. 160 for the triple. Moved decently. It's probably the best I've moved this kind of weight in a very long time. Now, obviously, this is still a far cry from my best. I've done 160.5 or 161 for sevens. So, still a far cry from my best ever, but I'll take what's there. And at this point, the fact that I'm able to bench this kind of weight at this kind of speed, even with the controlled lockout, I will still continue to take that. Still a work in progress. You can see that with the 145 back offs, I was a lot more hesitant, and it almost seemed like my pecs weren't working, and I was hesitating with my technique for at least the first 2 sets. But then the last 2 back offs, I stopped overthinking it too much and just focused on just bringing the bar down, execution, using my legs, and just trying to keep it as simple as possible. And you can see by the time I hit that last set, I really hit my stride and just was able to execute a lot better and move the weight a lot faster. It does seem that to some extent, once I've unracked, I just got to stop thinking too much and just focus on benching and not trying to do too many things at once. Because when I overthink it, technique goes out the window. And then when I don't overthink it and just keep it simple, it moves a lot cleaner. The 175, although not as fast as I would have liked, and I've moved it a lot faster, it still was decent. And the fact that it was painless is already a huge win, considering a few weeks ago that would have completely stapled me. And then, of course, with my pause deadlifts, these are chill. There's not too much to talk about. I got my top single and the back off singles every minute on the minute. These were very, very easy. Pause deadlifts for most of the block and most of this prep has been very cruisy. I don't have too much to talk about it. I mean, there's really nothing to write home about. It's good skill practice, getting the hook practice, as well as just making sure that my positioning is clean. But yeah, that's it for this week, and catch you guys in the next one.